May December is the latest film directed by Todd Haynes, and you can watch it right now on Netflix. Now, this is not a Netflix original movie. They didn't fund it, they didn't make it, but they acquired it. So hats off to them, because as much as I dislike most of the movies they either produce or acquire, about 2 to 3 times a year they seem to get it right, and they got a masterpiece on their hands. This is one of the most unique films approaching a very controversial subject, but doing it in a way that goes so much farther beyond just a biopic. So, Natalie Portman is the star of this film, and she plays an actress that goes to this small community in Georgia to study Julianne Moore, who is playing, and wait for it, somebody that started a relationship with a 13-year-old while she was 30. And all of that took place back in the 90s. She went to jail, she served time, and this film comes to them about 20 years later or so because they ended up together. Charles Melton played the child, now grown up. I think he's about 36 in this film, and him and Julianne Moore have 3 kids, their final 2 now going off to college. And so when Natalie Portman comes into this town, she is having conversations with Julianne Moore's character, studying her, talking to many friends, family members, anyone who was involved with this incident when it first happened, all to just play her in a biopic. And I didn't initially realize when watching this that this is based on a true story, actual events where this horrible incident occurred. And that is the key to understanding how brilliant this film is, because it isn't necessarily a biopic. Yes, we are looking at this very controversial story that is usually the clickbait that gets audiences to tune in to these types of films, but the film isn't as interested in focusing on how juicy this story is. The film more takes the approach from the actor's perspective, looking at the moral ethics of creating a film with this subject matter. It's an incredibly smart way to approach the story, because you are initially pulled into it wanting to know more. A lot of the plot details are unraveled throughout the film, and even up until the very end, you're learning more details about this story. It doesn't lay it flat out. It kind of leaves you wanting more to understand these characters and figure out what actually happened. But then the film subverts your expectations in a way that makes you kind of reflect on why you were so fascinated by that. And that we as the audience who eat up these kind of stories are part of the problem. These people are not to be celebrated, and oftentimes when we do make movies about them, it winds up creating them to be these celebrities. And so with this film being about the art of acting and what it actually means to take on these characters, the acting had to be top-notch. And don't worry, it was. Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore have already earned their critical acclaim that they deserve throughout their career. And so in an unsurprising way, they live up to the legacy that they have created over the course of their entire careers. But then you have Charles Melton, who just comes out of nowhere, someone that I was not familiar with at all before this film. And he absolutely sells this entire premise. I don't know how he's able to communicate so much just through his body language of an adult that has been emotionally stunted at a young age. He literally looks like an uncomfortable teenager living in the body of someone in their mid-30s. It's incredibly uncomfortable once you begin to unravel the layers and dynamics of his relationships with everyone. It's one of the most fascinating performances I have ever seen. But to really pull this whole film together, it requires a very smart-witted script. And this film is kind of hilarious at times, which is a weird takeaway, especially concerning how dark the subject matter is. But this film is so self-aware of our expectations of what it should be that it kind of plays on these tropes. The score is humorously obnoxious, and the tone wants you to believe that you're unraveling this mystery, when it's actually a lot more straightforward than you might want it to be. So overall, this is nothing short but a masterpiece and one of my favorite films of this year. And as much as I hate that I didn't get to see this in theaters, I'm at least happy it's wide enough that it seems to be breaking through into a more mainstream audience. And a lot of discourse is happening online about it, from interesting think pieces to just stupid memes about the film. The arguments of if it's disrespectful to consider this camp, it's all there, and that's kind of exactly what I love about films like this, that it creates interesting conversations that many people can talk about. So high recommend to this film. It is on Netflix right now, and that's May December. Have you seen it? What do you think? Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you next time.